So here's a piece of advice that I give to my students once they reach a certain level, and that is, especially when you're playing sacred music, play the words. It's the words that mean so much in the hymns and in the songs we sing. And how you approach that on the piano can really affect worship, your own worship, even. Uh, an example would be of playing the words. Let's say you're playing in How Great Thou Art, and it talks about the rolling thunder. And so you can do a kind of a rumble in the bass with your left hand to bring that out. People may not even realize you're doing it, but it really does add to the song. Um, and His Eyes on the Sparrow, it's talking about the little sparrow, the birds, and you can have a flittering sound up in the treble. And it's not anything special. It's just a little thing that you would do to add to that. Experiment with it, and you'll find that it's simpler than it sounds. Maybe just a flitter, a few little notes up there. Another thing, when there comes to be a sad part in a song, that's a good time to put a minor chord in there if it doesn't clash with the singing, if there's singing happening. And so here's another thing. If you're accompanying a choir or congregational music or singing, and if they are actually reading the notes and using hymnals, then you need to probably stick with the chord structures that are there. That way you don't clash with the vocal parts. You have to read each playing opportunity individually. For instance, tomorrow I'll be playing at two different churches. There are a couple people in the earlier church service that I'll be playing for that do read music. And so I'll try to not veer too far off of the structure of the music when I'm playing for them. The other church I'm playing for, same thing. There's still some music readers in the congregation, so I probably won't veer off from that. But one thing I can do, and I do, is I still enjoy what I do. If it's an upbeat song, I make sure it's an upbeat song. Double timing is another thing that we can do. And if you need me to explain how to double time something, then I can do that at a different video. But a double timing is a really good trick to use to take a slow song and just give it more energy. And it seems like you're going faster, but you're not. And so if you want to know more about that, just let me know, and I will create a video about that. But it's, again, my mom taught me that the words are important. It's not all just the melody, it's not all just the chords, it's the words that matter. So we need to be supportive of that when we play. And another thing, if you play for a wedding or something like that, you need to remember that it's not all about you. When you're playing for a wedding, it's about the bride, it's about the groom, it's about them. So if you're having to play different songs for the wedding ceremony, then you need to time your music to where, say, if the bride is walking down the aisle, then you need to make sure the music stops when she gets to her destination. And it takes a little practice, but you can figure out how to end on a one, on a tonic there, and just do that really quickly. Bring it to an end. You can watch as she comes down most times. And remember, here's another thing too. Oftentimes, as the pianist, when you walk into a room, you're going to be the most talented, the most prepared musician, just because that's the way it works sometimes. Um, so that means if you're playing with other musicians, then you're the one that has to change the key to accommodate someone else. So, and you're the one maybe that has to come alongside and help somebody understand how something works in music. It goes back to the greatest is the servant of all. Now, not always is the pianist the best musically inclined person in the room, but often it is. It just works that way. Sometimes there's a guitar player that knows their stuff. And so, regardless, you have to remember that the greatest is the servant. And that's what we do. We're there to worship, we're there to make everything better for everyone else. We're there to be supportive. And so don't forget that. We don't want to walk around like, we're something. Even if we are, we know we are. We're something because the Lord made us. He gave us the talents and we're developing those talents. And yeah, there's a gift, but there's a lot of work that goes along to flesh that gift out. So just remember to be a good servant, have a servant's heart, and just play the fire out of that piano.